just about ready to head out. Gonna go try to crush my friends playing 1-2 no limit hold'em.
What's up guys, welcome back to the vlog. My name's Matt. Don't get in an uproar about it. In this episode I want to recap a few hands I played in a little bit more of a social context than I typically play poker in. Went to meet up with two of my good friends, Steve and Bob, and we hadn't played poker yet at the new Sahara poker room. I've been hearing a bit about this like super deep 2-3 game, $600 min, uncapped game, $5 time rake. Mutual acquaintance of ours who goes by Persuadio, Chris, he's hosting that, and I've heard really good things, but we just decided to go slum it at 1-2. Don't ask me why. The plan was basically to just play a couple of hours before dinner and maybe some drinks. Actually, one really cool thing about the Sahara is they have this really nice lounge, the Casbah, which I've been to a few times now, and really A+ every time. I almost don't want to feature it on the vlog because I feel like it's one of the better kept secrets sort of on the Vegas Strip right now. It's just pretty quiet for a lounge and the service was great. But getting into the poker, played a number of hands including the one where I first sat down. So this hand's a little bit weird because it's actually a straddle and I did not know that it was a straddle pot. And it's literally my first hand sitting down at the table. If I had chips at the table, they had like really just gotten there. And it's 6 max. So I'm under the gun effectively with the straddle, and I decided to make it 10 because, again, didn't know there was a straddle with ace king of spades. Now the button calls and the small blind bumps it up, but he makes it just 25. The straddle, not to be outdone, bumps it up. He 4-bets to 100. Kind of a more reasonable size actually, but all of this basically amounts to $200 cap, and 50% of effective stacks are in at this point, and I've got ace king of spades. Now you might say, Matt, it's 1-2. Nobody's ever got worse than kings here. I would beg to differ. Just walking up to this table, it seemed like the kind of table where people would have a few more hands. So I begrudgingly see this action, and by the way, I believe it's the big blind actually makes it 100, and then the straddle calls off for less than 100, I think 50. I get it in for 200. The button says,
fucking horseshit what I have here.
But calls anyway. And yeah, the big blind has a pretty trivial call off for 100 into a pot of basically infinite dollars. And well, I decided I just had to get some footage of this, even though it was literally first hand at the table. And the board runs out something like 10-8, 5, 8, deuce, and black pocket jacks take it down. So yeah, welcome to the table, Matt. You're down 200. In this next hand, we've rebought for full and chipped up a bit. So we're sitting around 300 here. Under the gun limps in, the button bumps it up to 10, and I'm in the big blind with queen 8 of hearts. Pretty easy call here, so that's what I do. Go heads up, and the flop comes king 10 deuce with 2 spades, but it checks through. We'd have a very easy fold to pretty much any size c-bet, but it checks through. Turn is an 8, so we improve to a pair, but it's third pair and will most often be called by better hands and fold out worse hands if we bet here. So I decided to check once again, and it checks through again. The river is the queen of spades, though. Brings in the front door flush, but when no bets go in on flop and turn, I think we're pretty much good to go here. Decided to throw out a bet of $20. He calls, and my hand is good. So no idea what he managed to check back twice and call river with. Could have been a pocket pair, could have been just like a 10 or something. But yeah, nice to start to ease it back up. 20 bucks at a time. Next hand, we are sitting on about $300 once again. There's a limp, and I raise the button with ace jack to 15. Small blind makes it just $30. this is one of those weird moments where playing in a 1-2 game with a pretty standard, tightish, passive-ish lineup, you're just going to expect that they really have it here quite a bit. But when they only make it 2x, it's pretty hard to fold, so I do make the call. The flop comes Jack 3 deuce, which I'm already kind of worried about what's going to happen here. He decides to bet just 15, so I think, again, we just end up with a pretty easy just call. The turn, however, is the king of hearts, and he bets 15 once again. And this is where it just feels so stupid, right? You're like, I might literally never be good here, and I might literally only have 2 to 5 outs, and very little in the way of implied odds, I would think. But he's just betting. He's just betting so small. It's small in dollars. It's small in percentage of the pot. It's really hard to find a fold here, and I did not. I make the call, and we go to a river card, which is an ace, giving us 2 pair, but he now jams 100. So, again, just this like really weird scenario. He's certainly representing only hands that beat us, but I think that when we improve on the river to pretty much the best card in the deck for us, besides the jack, I suppose, it's pretty hard to let it go. And I am mostly there for fun, so it's kind of hard to get into the mentality of making these like kind of nutty folds. So I put in the call, and nobody is in surprise when they see ace king. So yeah, we lose another one here. Not really going my way at the Sahara 1-2. Fun game, but not going my way. In this next hand, the cutoff limps in, and I'm on the button with queen 10 offsuit, and I decide to isolation raise to 12. We go heads up to ace king deuce rainbow. This is a board that's generally much better for the preflop aggressor, so when he checks, it's a pretty easy c-bet with my gutter to 10. He makes a call, and the turn comes a 6 of hearts, which is the second heart on board. I decide to barrel for 40, sizing up and trying to apply pressure to any like 1 pair holdings he can have that isn't an ace, and potentially set up a 3rd barrel. But he just ends up folding, and we finally get to take like a sort of okay sized one down. It's still a pretty tiny pot, but it's a moral victory. In this next hand, under the gun makes it 12. The small blind calls, and I'm in the big blind with red pocket 9s. I think we have a pretty clear just call here, so that's what I do. Flop comes 8-7 deuce rainbow, and the small blind leads for 20 with 110 behind. Kind of weird spot where I think people are pretty face up. I think they'll mostly have decent-ish draws, as well as single pair hands, mostly being top pair. When I hold pocket 9s though, I block a lot of the draws, and he's probably weighted a bit more toward those like 8x holdings, maybe 7x kinds of hands. With the preflop aggressor behind me, I don't really want to call and give him a great price, so I decided to bump it up to 50, planning to get it in with the small blind if he wants to. I mean, it's really up to him. He decides to decline, and we just take it down. So again, winning the small blinds. I'll take the small ones. You guys can take the big ones. In this hand, which is the last interesting hand of the session, the cutoff limps in, and I'm on the button with pocket 9s once again. I make it $15 to go. The small blind cold calls, and the cutoff calls as well. So we go 3 ways to a flop, which is 8 high. Once again 8 high flop with the 9s. I guess that's pretty okay. The cutoff now lead jams for 68, and this is after the small blind checks, of course. But I think we have a pretty easy call off here, even though he's betting larger than the size of the pot. It's just one of these moments where people will tend to have a lot of like 1 pair hands or flush draws, even some straight draws like 4-5. Maybe even like ace-4, ace-5 if we're feeling really lucky here. But yeah, very easy call. So I stick it in, the small blind folds, and the turn is a 3 of diamonds, river, the jack of hearts, and I think we all know what's coming here. He shows us the good old ace-6 of hearts. So the good old nut flush draw for him there. He gets it in there. Pretty live, obviously, against our exact holding. He's got quite a bit of equity, but you know, losing every all-in, don't recommend it. Don't recommend it. So all in all, I think this session we were in for 550, out for 382. Pretty short one. I think it was under a 3-hour session. Mickey actually ended up coming to join us. We had a very nice dinner and a few drinks at the Casbah Lounge. Definitely recommend it, and definitely recommend the Sahara Poker Room. I hope to check out the Thursday Super, I don't even, it doesn't have a label, but I feel like it's the Super 2-3. I'm just gonna start calling it the Super 2-3. I'll probably make an appearance there at some point. But if you're in town and you haven't checked out the Sahara, I definitely recommend it. Hope to see you there.